boys and girls. I'm going to read to you today from Ralph Fletcher's A Writer's Notebook. And he's going to explain what he feels like is the purpose of a writer's notebook. This chapter is called, What is a Writer's Notebook Anyway? Once when I was a boy, a telephone repair truck pulled up in front of our house and two workers got out. They had come to lay telephone cable. My brothers and sisters and I watched them work hard for 3 hours, digging a long, narrow ditch in our backyard. Finally, when it was starting to get dark, they left the ditch and went home, promising to return and finish the job the next morning. Early the next morning, I went outside and looked into that empty ditch, but it wasn't empty at all. I was amazed to find all sorts of small animals caught in there. 4 toads, 2 frogs, even a small box turtle. They must have wandered into the ditch, gotten stuck there, and been unable to climb back out. I let all the animals go. The 2 workers returned, finished laying the telephone cable, and covered up the ditch. Well, that got me to thinking. The next day, I decided to dig my own ditch. I dug it at the edge of the woods. I didn't think Dad would have appreciated seeing another ditch in our lawn. I made it about 1 foot wide, 10 feet long, and 8 inches deep. The next morning, I hurried outside and discovered that, yes, the same thing had happened. A number of small creatures had been caught in there. A writer's notebook is like that ditch. It's an empty space that you dig into your busy life, a space you will fill with all sorts of fascinating little creatures. You'll be amazed by what you catch in there. So I think that's an interesting metaphor. He is saying our writer's notebook is a place where we're going to catch things. What kind of things do you think he means? I guess he could mean ideas. We talked about last week, or in the other lesson, yesterday's lesson. We talked about the lady who wrote about places that she had been and experiences that she had been through. Let's keep going. Writing is what I do for my job. I've written books for adults, books for young readers. I've published a novel, books of poetry, short stories, books for teachers about how to teach writing. In this book, I want to explore with you the most important tool I use, my writer's notebook. Keeping a writer's notebook is one of the best ways I know to live the writing kind of life. What is a writer's notebook anyway? Well, let's start by talking about what it is not. A writer's notebook is not a diary. Today it is raining. We have a substitute teacher named Mrs. Pampanella. She seems very nice. We are going to gym before lunch. It is not a reader's notebook, where your teacher tells you to summarize the main idea of the book. Write a letter to the character of the story. A writer's notebook is different from any other journal you've ever kept before. Writers are pretty ordinary people. They have favorite songs, favorite movies, favorite TV shows. Writers have evil big sisters and occasionally sweet ones. They get good or not so good grades. They take vacations. They paint their houses. Writers are like other people, except for one thing. Other people have daily thoughts, feelings. They notice this sky or that smell, but they don't do anything about it. All those thoughts, feelings, sensations, and opinions pass through them like the air they breathe. But not writers. Writers react, and writers need a place to record those reactions. That is what a writer's notebook is for. It gives you a place to write down what makes you angry, sad, amazed. To write down what you noticed and what you don't want to forget. To record exactly what your grandmother whispered in your ear before she said goodbye that last time. A writer's notebook gives you a place to live like a writer. not just in school time, but wherever you are at any time of day. So I think that is a really important thing. He's talking about living like a writer, noticing things, looking around you, and then writing down things you want to remember. What does a writer's notebook look like? Well, there's no really right answer for this, except your writer's notebook should reflect your personality. Some writers prefer a pad small enough to stick in their pockets. Others have beautiful notebooks with wildflowers on the covers. Others have plain brown covers. A notebook doesn't even have to be made of paper, really. Sometimes I work on my notebook computer when I'm flying from one city to the next. But a notebook doesn't have to be fancy or expensive. A plain old notebook from the stationery store will do just fine. I hope you'll get yourself some kind of notebook and begin to write in it on a regular basis. In this book, I suggest a lot of ways that you can use your writer's notebook to collect important things from your life, stuff that may prove valuable in later writing. We'll also look at ways to reread your notebook and use what you've collected to generate your own polished or published writing. Your notebook is uniquely yours, like your wallet or your backpack, and only you can decide what to put in it. You probably won't use every idea you find in this book, and if an idea doesn't grab you, just move on to the next chapter. If you read an idea that appeals to you, try it out in your notebook. Experiment. When you come right down to it, a writer's notebook is nothing more than a blank book, but within those pages, you've got a powerful tool for writing and living. In the pages that follow, we'll explore ways that you can use your notebook so that you can begin to live like a writer. And so I think that's the powerful statement that we're going to get from that, is that we want to live like a writer. We want to include writing in our everyday lives. All right. We are going to stop this video and I'm going to share one more book.